Hello and welcome back everyone, I'm Blue Banana, and this is Mass Effect. Now in the last episode we actually, did 2 side missions, and I think now it's time to do more of the story missions. So we have Noveria or Pharos to go to, and I have a €1 coin right in front of me. I would say heads is Pharos, so let's see. So it's tails, so Noveria it is. That's how you do it. A really scientific method, right? Alright, so Noveria is in the Horsehead Nebula in the PAX system. Pretty interesting. So, I don't know. I've heard of PAX East, but PAX Horsehead Nebula? That's a little bit far off, is it? Anyways, with bad jokes is a good start for this episode. I think we just look at all of the planets that are all the way around. We got some matriarchs writings. You know, I'm just doing this for experience, and if we just run into them, it doesn't really matter, right? But usually I wouldn't just run around and try to find all of this, because I think it's pretty boring to look for collectibles. Anyways, we are on Noveria, so let's see what Noveria is all about. Noveria is a small, frozen, terrestrial world, barely habitable by conventional definitions. It's privately chartered by the Noveria Development Corporation, who lease out labs to perform research too dangerous or too controversial to be performed elsewhere. Given Noveria's unique situation, it is the source of many wild conspiracy theories. It was founded in 2163, has a population of 361,400. The capital is Port Hanshan? Whatever. Orbital distance, about 1 astronomical unit. Orbital period, about 1 Earth year. The day is twice as long, a little bit more than twice as long on Earth. That's interesting. And once again, just below the freezing point of water at normal atmospheric pressures, which is, we're slightly below that. Anyways, surface gravity is pretty close to Earth. Let's just land and see what we get into. You know, what trouble we can get into.
Approach control, this is the SSV Normandy, requesting a vector and a berth.
Normandy, your arrival was not scheduled. Our defense grid is armed and tracking you. State your business.
Citadel business. We got a Council Spectre aboard.
Landing access granted, Normandy. Be advised, we will be confirming identification on arrival. If confirmation cannot be established, your vessel will be impounded.
What a fun bunch. I think I'll take my next leave here.
Yeah, they seem very friendly and openly accepting outsiders, right? I mean, it's pretty cool. Yeah, it's a really, you know, cold people here. Maybe it's the weather. Anyways, one thing that I think we should do though is we should talk to our crew, because that's something that defines these games, talking to your party members when you're between missions. So let's talk to Kaidan, even though we're not using him on any missions and won't do it for a very long time. But still, I just want to learn a little bit more about our friends here.
Commander, do you have a minute?
I always make time for my officers.
Off the record, I think there's something wrong here. This Saren is looking for records on some kind of galactic extinction, but we can't get backup from the Council? Sorry, Commander. There's writing on the wall here, but someone isn't reading it.
The Council doesn't want to believe anything's wrong. I'd call it human nature, but...
I hear you. It just seems like a group that's been around as long as the Council should see this coming. I mean, it's funny, we finally get out here, and the final frontier was already settled. And the residents don't even seem impressed by the view. Or the dangers.
Well, you're a romantic. Did you sign on for the dream, Malenko? Secure a man's future in space?
Yeah, I read a lot of those books when I was a kid, where the hero goes to space to prove himself worthy of a woman he loves, or, you know, for justice. Maybe I was a romantic in the beginning, but I thought about it after brain camp. Biotic acclimation and temperance training. I'm not looking for the dream. I just want to do some good. see what's out here. Sorry if I got too informal. Protocol wasn't a big focus back in Bot.
Tell me about it.
Biotic acclimation and temperance didn't last past the airlock. To the kids they hauled in, it was brain camp. Sorry, hauled in is unkind. We were encouraged to commit to an evaluation of our abilities so an understanding of biotics could be compiled. There are worse results of accidental exposure to element 0 in the womb. Beats the brain tumors some kids grew up with.
Is there some question about how you were exposed?
My mother was downwind of a transport crash. It was before there were human biotics, a little after the discovery of the Martian ruins. It only gets iffy around 63 when Kinetics was running out of first-gen subjects. Until then, they'd relied on accidentals. A bunch of guys in suits show up at your door after school, and next thing you know, you're out on Jump Zero.
Jump Zero is Gagarin Station, right? What's it like?
Yeah, that's the official name. Biggest and farthest facility we had for decades. Right on the termination shock, the outer edge of the solar system. It's where they did all the Goose Chase FTL research before we caught on to using mass effect fields. It was a sterile research platform when I was there.
You know of any intentional exposures for certain?
No one knows. Doesn't mean they didn't happen. As big as the exposures were, it was hard to track down accidentals. It was different then. No one knew the potential, so there wasn't a lot of regulation. Anything Kinetics did was gold. I'm not saying they intentionally detonated drives over our outposts, but in retrospect, they were damn quick on the scene.
Jump Zero's a long way from home. What was it like?
The grand gateway to humanity looks a lot better in the vids. Anyway, this was supposed to be a casual debrief, not a bull session about stuff that happened years ago.
We have to depend on each other in combat. I like knowing what kind of man I have at my back.
I understand, ma'am. I won't let you down. You, make a habit of getting this personal with everyone?
Of course, but I don't enjoy it with everyone. We'll talk again later.
I'll need some time to process that, Commander. But, yeah, I'd like that.
So yeah, you get to know some of the background. It's how and why people are here, how they wound up here, and you can see that he's a lieutenant, right? So he's been with the Alliance Navy for quite some time. Oh yeah, a locker. Oh, would you look at that? Not really anything that we can use, but we'll take it. So he is a biotic, and as he stated, I think you only get to be a biotic if you get exposed to element 0, whatever that is. Yeah, so he told us about his experiences as a kid. Sleeper pods. You know, you can run around here and get some more codex entries and some XP by looking at stuff. Maybe we'll do a... Yeah, I think we should do that right now. Talk to all of our crew before we actually set foot in Noveria. I'll maybe do a double episode then. It's just too. I think it's just too. It's just a big part of this game. So you need. I think talking to your crew is actually really important, and it kind of makes or breaks the game.
Yes, Commander. Is there something you need?
Just talk to Dr. Chakwas since she already, you know, patched us up once, and maybe she'll have to do it more often, so let's just get to know her a little bit better. I mean, she's the only doctor aboard, right?
How did you end up serving on an Alliance ship?
I enlisted right out of med school. Earth always seemed boring to me. Too safe, too secure. I figured the colonies were teeming with exotic adventure. I wanted to travel the stars, tending the wounds of tough soldiers with piercing eyes and sensitive souls. Turns out military life isn't quite as romantic as I'd imagined. But humanity needs the Alliance if we want to keep expanding through the Traverse, and the Alliance always needs good doctors. So I stayed on to do my part.
Ever think you made the wrong choice?
Sometimes I think about opening a private practice back on Earth, or maybe taking a position at one of the new med centers out in the colonies. But there's something special about working on soldiers. If I left the Alliance now, I'd feel like I was abandoning them.
How well do you know the Lieutenant?
I'd never worked with him before this mission. But he has an impressive service record, over a dozen special commendations. Tends to keep to himself, though. Maybe because of the headaches. It's not easy being an L2.
What does that have to do with it?
Well, most biotics now use the L3 implants. Lieutenant Alenko was wired with the old L2 configuration. Sometimes there are complications.
What kind of complications?
Severe mental disabilities, insanity, crippling physical pain. There's a long list of horrific side effects. Kaidan's lucky. He just gets migraines.
Yeah, that kind of sounds lucky, compared to all the other options. Anyways, thanks, Doctor.
I should go.
Goodbye, Commander.
Yeah, so, crippling pain, eh? And that seems to be Liara's office. Let's talk to her as well. Since she will be on our team for a very long time, and I kind of like her abilities in combat, let's get to know her.
I never properly thanked you for saving me from the Geth, Commander. If you hadn't shown up,
I'm just glad we got there in time.
So am I. I know you took a chance bringing me aboard this ship. I have seen the way your crew looks at me. They do not trust me. But I am not like Benezia. I will do whatever I can to help you stop Saren. I promise.
Don't worry, Liara. I trust you. I know you won't let me down.
It means a lot to hear you say that, Commander. Thank you.
Tell me about yourself, Liara.
Me? I am afraid I am not very interesting, Commander. I spend most of my time on remote digs, unearthing mundane items buried in long-forgotten Prothean ruins.
Sounds dangerous. And lonely.
Sometimes I would run afoul of indigenous life forms or stumble across a small band of mercenaries or privateers. But I was always careful. Until the Geth followed me to Artemis Tau. I never found myself in any situation my biotics could not handle. As for the solitude, well, that is one aspect that most appealed to me. Sometimes I just need to get away from other people.
You don't like other people?
I suppose it comes from being a matriarch's daughter. People expected me to follow in Benezia's footsteps. They wanted me to become a leader of our people. Matriarchs guide their followers into the future. They seek the truth of what is yet to come. Maybe that's why I became so interested in the secrets of the past. It sounds so foolish when I say it out loud. It sounds like I became an archaeologist simply to spite Benezia.
All children rebel against their parents. It's a natural part of growing up.
Aha, you share the wisdom of the matriarch, Shepard. That is exactly what Benezia said when I told her of my decision. But there was more to it than that. I felt drawn to the past. The Protheans were these wondrous, mysterious figures. I wanted to know everything about them. That is why I find you so fascinating. You were marked by the beacon on Eden Prime. You were touched by working Prothean technology.
Sounds like you want to dissect me in a lab somewhere.
What? No, I did not mean to insinuate. I never meant to offend you, Shepard. I only meant that you would be an interesting specimen for an in-depth study. No, that's even worse.
Calm down, Liara. I was only joking.
Joking? Oh, by the goddess, how could I be so dense? You must think I am a complete and utter fool. Now you know why I prefer to spend my time in the field with data disks and computers. I always seem to say something embarrassing around other people. Please, just pretend this conversation never happened.
Okay, what conversation? But let's ask her about Benezia, since she's an ally. Well, Benezia is an ally of Saren. She's the daughter of Benezia. Maybe she can shed some light in, this kind of relationship they have, and why Benezia would join Saren, right? I mean, that's could be some valuable information.
Do you know why Benezia joined up with Saren?
I don't understand it. She was always outspoken about the need for the Asari to become more involved in shaping galactic events. Maybe she thought allying herself with Saren would somehow be for the greater good in the long run. At least I hope so.
This hurts you, doesn't it?
None of this makes any sense to me. I have not spoken to Benezia in many years, but I know her, and this was not like her. Something changed.
Interesting. And very intriguing. I think we should get to know a little bit more about the Asari culture. I mean, Asari are more or less the first, I think one of the first council species, council races. So, yeah, I think knowing a little bit more about them could help us in future decision making.
I'd like to know more about the Asari.
We were the first species to discover the Citadel. We were instrumental in forming the Council, and we always strive to be the voice of peaceful cooperation in galactic disputes. My people believe we are all part of a single galactic community. Each species contributes something to the greater whole. Although we seek to understand other species, it seems few of them seek to understand us. The galaxy is filled with rumors and misinformation about my people.
Like what?
Most of the inaccuracies are centered around our mating rituals. My species is monogendered. Male and female have no real meaning for us. We still require a partner to reproduce. This second parent, however, may be of any species and any gender.
I don't understand. Your species can mate with anyone?
Mating is not quite the proper term, not as you understand it. Physical contact may or may not be involved, but it is not an essential element of the union. The true connection is mental. Our physiology allows us to meld with other beings. We can touch the very depths of their minds. We explore the genetic memory of their species. We share the most basic elements of their individual and racial identities. We then pass these traits on to our daughters. It is how we learn to grow as a species and how we develop a greater understanding of other races.
That's really strange. For one part, and for the second part, it's a very interesting conversation to have, actually, isn't it? So, oh yeah, we know each other for like 15 minutes, let's talk about sex.
What happens to your partner after the union?
Every relationship is different. Some unions are a single encounter with both parents parting ways afterwards. Others can be more long-term. Sometimes an Asari and her partner will stay together for many decades.
Sorry, to clarify, how does your species have sex? That's more accurate. It's a rather strange small talk. Anyways.
Do you know who Matriarch Benezia chose as her partner?
She rarely spoke of her partner. Though I know my father, if you want to use that term, was another Asari.
Benezia never told you her partner's name?
Union with our own kind is no longer common, not for the purposes of reproduction. Most Asari believe it weakens our species. Asari daughters inherit racial traits from the father species. If both parents are Asari, then nothing has been gained, or so conventional wisdom would hold. I am what is sometimes called a pureblood. Though no Asari would ever be cruel enough to say the word to my face, it is a great insult among my people. It is possible Benezia's partner was embarrassed by their union. She may have been too ashamed to publicly acknowledge me as her offspring.
That's harsh.
Maybe she wanted to meet you but couldn't. Maybe something could have happened to her. Maybe she passed away.
You might be right. I hope you are. But I have no way to know for sure. Benezia never spoke of her partner. Whatever happened, it caused her too much pain to dwell on it. She raised me by herself, though that is not uncommon. Many Asari raise their children alone, particularly if the father species is short-lived. Often the partner will pass on long before the child reaches maturity.
Still, that's also a very weird conversation to have. Oh, by the way, do you know your father? I mean, I heard it. Come on. But still, it's interesting to know, actually. Anyways, we know enough.
I should go.
Goodbye, Shepard.
It was very enlightening. Just to, I mean, come on. It was very interesting to get to know 3 of our crew members. Actually, we talked to Kaidan, we talked to Dr. Chakwas, we talked to Liara about herself and Asari culture. So maybe we should try and go down to, I think it's the cargo bay. Maybe this will be more of a talkative episode. I'm going to talk to most of our crew members. I mean, once again, I think it's a very, very, very important part about this game, so let's talk to Garrus, if he's not calibrating anything.
Commander, nice work out there. I knew working with a Spectre would be better than life at CSEC.
You can bet.
Have you worked with the Spectre before?
Well, no, but I know what they're like. Spectres make their own rules. You're free to handle things your way. At CSEC, you're buried by rules. The damn bureaucrats are always on your back.
For the most part, the rules are there for a reason.
Maybe. But sometimes it feels like the rules are only there to stop me from doing my work. If I'm trying to take down a suspect, it shouldn't matter how I do it, as long as I do it.
But CSEC wants it done their way. Protocol and procedure come first. That's why I left.
So you just quit because you didn't like the way they do things?
There's more to it than that. It didn't start out bad, but as I rose in ranks, I got saddled with more and more red tape. CSEC's handling of Saren was typical. I just couldn't take it anymore. I hate leaving.
I hope you made the right choice. I'd hate for you to regret it later.
Well, that's sort of why I teamed up with you. It's a chance for me to get off the Citadel, see how things are done outside CSEC. Either way, I plan to make the most of this.
And without CSEC headquarters looking over my shoulder, well, maybe I can get the job done my way for a change.
If getting the job done means endangering innocent people, then no. We get the job done right, not fast. Got it?
I wasn't trying to... I understand, Commander.
Yeah, I mean, we're not doing this whole getting stuff done by any means, but yeah, I mean, we shot him down pretty harsh there.
Commander, how are you?
Let's talk to him again. Maybe he has some more to say.
Why did you want to be a CSEC officer in the first place?
That's a good question. There were several reasons, I guess.
Goodbye. Not interested anymore.
Like what?
Probably the same as most officers. I wanted to fight injustice, wanted to help people. I guess my father had something to do with it too. He was CSEC, one of the best. I grew up hearing about his accomplishments or seeing his picture on the vids after a big arrest. He's taking my resignation pretty hard.
That's tough. But you'd think he'd be impressed you're going after Saren.
My father's a CSEC man to the bone. Do things right or don't do them at all, he says. He thinks I'm being too rash, too impatient. He's worried I'll become just like Saren. He actually talked me out of becoming a Spectre when I was younger, for the same reasons.
You were asked to be a Spectre?
Well, I was targeted as a possible Spectre candidate. Me and about 1,000 other Turian military recruits. I could have received special training, but my father didn't like it.
He despises the Spectres. He hates the idea of someone having unlimited power with no accountability. He wouldn't like you, Commander. No offense.
I mean, to be honest, I get this reasoning. Having unlimited power without accountability is just bound to be abused. It's just... You just can't have that. It's virtually impossible to give someone almost unlimited power and be like, yeah, do whatever you want with that. You can do whatever you want, and nobody will ask questions about it. That's just disaster. That's just easily heading for disaster. Anyways, let's continue with this.
I suppose I can understand his concern.
You can. But Saren's not going to play by our rules, CSEC's rules. If you want to nail Saren, you need to send someone who isn't restricted by policies and procedures.
Damn it. So, I would like to go this route, but once again, the Paragon...
Just because you can break the rules doesn't mean you should. I don't need to stoop to Saren's level to stop him. And neither do you, Garrus.
I see what you mean, but I'll think about it. Thanks, Commander.
So, let's see.
Commander,
Yeah.
good to see you.
Awesome, we're done with him.